look like for that type 5 to be traveling down their path of growth? Today's video is all about the growth path, but it also can be known as a growth arrow. You've probably heard it called that, and a line of integration. All of these are talking about the same thing, which is the growth path. Where does that 5 go when they are growing? And stay tuned, because after I'm done sharing about that growth path, I'm going to be sharing three growth tips for that Enneagram Type 5. If you're new here, I'm Hillary. I'm certified in the Enneagram. I'm certified in life coaching. I also run an Etsy shop where I create and design Enneagram stickers and different things like that. And I love teaching you guys on YouTube all about the Enneagram and how to use it in your life in the simplest and easiest way possible. All right, so let's go ahead and dive into being a type 5 and what it looks like for that type 5 to go towards the healthy side of a type 8, which is where they go on their growth path. This is the path that the 5 goes down when they're doing good, they're growing. Maybe they're in that good rest space where they, just settle into a real healthy spot. This is where the type 5 goes. And what does this look like for the type 5? 5s are going to prioritize their energy while taking action towards their goals. Because I don't know if you're a 5 and you can relate to this, but I think sometimes 5s can get overwhelmed with all the data, with all the options, with all the facts. I mean, that's a lot going on, right? But when going towards that healthy side of the 8, they are going to start to settle down and take that intentional action. The next thing that it can look like in the type 5 is they begin to share what they know with other people. They really want to help the people around them, and 5s have a lot of knowledge, right? A lot of gifts that they can share with the world. 5s are going to become more grounded, have more self-confidence, have more courage, become decisive and assertive. Those are some of the things that the 5 is going to use from that healthy side of the 8. 5s will begin to listen to their body and its needs, right? Because that 8 is in the gut triad, that body triad. And so as the 5 is going there, they're going to be able to use that in a healthy way. They really will learn to get into touch with what the body's saying, what the body is feeling, and really start to connect with their emotions and those gut instincts that the 8 has. Another thing is the 5s are going to learn that observing from afar actually ends up being them missing out. Therefore, they're going to start to participate more. And I know if you are a 5, it tends to be easier to observe from afar. But as you're going down that healthy path, that's where that confidence and courage comes in, and you start to, kind of step in and participate more in life. And the last thing is, as the 5 learns to trust their instincts, they're going to become braver and quicker to take action. And so those are some of the things that you're going to see as the 5 travels down that growth path, that growth arrow or line of integration, whichever one you want to call it. So what do you guys think? If you are a 5, did you relate to any of these? Did any of these stand out? Do you see some of these show up in your life? Let me know in the comments box. I would love to know which one of these you really related to. Okay, so moving on to the 3 growth tips that I promised you for that type 5. Growth tip 1 is you do not need to be an expert at something before taking action. Sit with that. What I've seen is that a 5 wants to research, and then research some more before taking any action, making a decision or speaking on a topic. They want to make sure they fully understand everything before saying anything. I think sometimes you 5s, you need to trust that you actually do know enough to share it, to go forward, to take action. You do really know a lot on the subject. I'd be willing to bet. Truthfully, I think 5s, you really have a gift that needs to be shared. Who you are, what you bring to the world is the gift. Share it. Contribute to the world your giftings. Otherwise, you might get stuck in analysis paralysis. And I know this is not the first time you've probably heard those 2 words uttered. And what this looks like is overanalyzing, overthinking, and then what happens? You stop moving forward and making any decisions. And I know deep down inside, you don't want to make an error or look stupid. I get that. I understand that. But that's just not a good place to be waiting around until you feel like you know everything about the subject. Because let's be honest, you're really never going to know all there is to know. You're always going to be learning and growing. So it's good to just trust yourself, sometimes in that moment and give what you have to give. I guess in the end, just realize that there is always more to learn and it's okay. Okay, so let's go ahead and move on to that growth tip number 2. And this one is your energy is not actually going to be catastrophically depleted. I know that's a fear. I know that that tends to be your core weakness and the avarice part, that you might, use all your energy, but it's not really true. 5s have learned to isolate as a way of protecting what they need to live. 5s usually feel like they need to hoard their time, their energy, and their resources. Why? Because they think they are going to be fully depleted. Truth be told, this is something a 5 would have put in practice when they were a child. And I always like to teach that what you decided as a child usually no longer serves you as an adult. And don't get me wrong, I do think having a quiet place to recharge is super important to a 5. Being able to take some time and, find that quiet space, yes, super important. But what I'm actually talking about is that fear that if you put too much of yourself out there, you're going to be fully depleted. And that's just not going to happen. I would say learn to communicate your needs instead of hiding your needs, right? That isolation can be you actually hiding what you're needing to recharge. But one thing that will help is to communicate your needs. I think honestly, it's just time to lay down the fear that your battery can be completely drained with no way of charging it back up if you aren't closing people out and hiding away, right? Sometimes the 5 thinks that that's what they have to do in order to recharge. It's okay to find that quiet space. The growth tip is just to stop operating from that place of insufficiency. That's not a great place to operate out of. Okay, so moving on to the last growth tip, which is tip number 3, and that is emotions. They are okay and they need to be processed. It's important for type 5 to let their feelings be felt in the moment. I actually think type 5s are the least emotionally expressive of all 9 types. What do you guys think? Is that true? Here's the funny thing about emotions. If they're not dealt with properly, they're still going to come out just sideways. Sometimes for the 5, they can come out as anger. They can come out as maybe a physical symptom. Maybe they cause you to go quiet or kind of like lock yourself away in your castle. I've noticed that about 5s. I heard someone say once that a type 5 needs to practice holding space for their own emotions. And I don't know if that's easy for you. I don't know if that's hard for you. I think sometimes it could be hard for a 5 to identify their own emotions. Let me know. What do you think? If you are a 5, do you have an easy time identifying your emotions, or is it a little bit harder? And if it is harder, I had this one person one time tell me that they had a printout of all emotions. And so when they started to feel something, they would look at the words of the emotions so that they can identify what they were feeling. And I think that was brilliant. I think the bottom line is just to process your emotions. You do have them. I know some of you are going, I don't want them. It's easier for me to not have them. I get that. But I don't want them to come out sideways for you. But anyways, that's all I have for today, guys. Those are the 3 growth tips that I had for the type 5. I hope they help you. Let me know in the comments which one really stood out, which one maybe are you working on or you would like to work on. I would love to hear from you guys. But if you've gotten to this point and you don't know your own Enneagram type and you're like, gosh, I do relate to some of the things that you were saying today, but not all of them, or I need someone to come alongside me and just kind of confirm what I've always believed or thought my type is, I have good news for you. I offer a Discover You typing session. It's a 1-hour Zoom call with me, and we get down to the bottom of your Enneagram type usually. And so all of that information is linked down below in the description box, but that's all I have for today, guys. Until next time, bye guys.